Hey, sports fam, Sasha here. I wanted to jump on and explain to you a little bit about what's happening right now because I recorded this incredible interview with LeRon McCoy. He is a former NFL player. He played for our very own Arizona Cardinals. He now works as a sport agent and in real estate, and he works in the NIL space. The whole interview is so good and so funny, but it ended up being a little long. And I know as a podcast listener myself that it's easier to listen to podcasts in smaller stretches. So what we did was we split the episode into two parts. You can listen to the first part of the interview right now, and then the second part will be available tomorrow. So come back tomorrow, listen to the second half of the interview. You are going to love it. Enjoy. Welcome back to Sports Will Save Us All, the podcast where sports are just the beginning. I am your host, Sasha Graham. Sports fam, my guest today is one of those guys who has done so much that he is a podcast host dream, because the biggest challenge is not what we're going to talk about, but how we are going to fit it all in. His name is LeRon McCoy, and after an outstanding college football career at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where he was a three-time all-conference selection and a two-time All-American, he was drafted by our very own Arizona Cardinals in 2005, where he played wide receiver in 10 games and started in 4 his rookie season. Following his time in the league, LeRon went on to become a certified sports agent, successful real estate entrepreneur, and has now set his sights on building his own sports agency, Legacy NIL. His new company is focused on representing athletes in both high school and college and helping them and their families navigate the ever-changing landscape of name, image, and likeness legislation and revenue sharing. LeRon McCoy, welcome to Sports Will Save Us All.
Well, thank you. I actually love the title. I do think sports is definitely a conduit to save a lot of young men and women out there. So for sure, I'm happy to be here.
I love to hear that. Let's start there. Like, do you feel like sports saved you?
Oh my God, yeah, sports changed the direction of my life, my family's life. It's given us an opportunity to live a different life and provide a different life for my children.
Mm-hmm.
To meet
Do you have kids?
people. Yes, I do. I have 2 kids. I have my
Ah,
daughter is 21 and my son is 17, Maya and Dash. So
oh,
they're
cute
they're
names.
big kids now, but just the opportunity to live a different life and give them things I haven't had, and it's been amazing for the blessings that it's bestowed upon me and my family.
Yeah. Yeah. Were your parents athletes?
My parents are still athletes, so
Yeah.
my mom not so much. My dad is a believe it or not, he is a traveling softball player. So he played baseball growing up, and now in his, I believe he's in his 60s, he likes to travel all across the country and play baseball. So for instance, when he comes to visit in Arizona or my brother in LA, he'll show up and bring like his bats and then just find like a local game and then just go and
He
play.
plays pickup softball, your dad? That's so cool.
Yo, 100%. We call him like Derek Jeter. We're like, Jeter, where you going? It's like, this dude is crazy. But,
But how
sport, like I said, sports saves everyone. So,
it's funny actually because, when I was interviewing John Yabodi recently, he was talking about football. And the challenge with football is that after you finish, after you retire and you make that transition to civilian life, you can't just go and find a pickup football game, right? That's really tricky to do.
for
So
sure.
So what is it that you do now to sort of scratch that itch? Your dad's picking up a bat. Like, what
Yeah.
are you up to?
I'll say this. So throughout my years of being a sports agent, I realized that a lot of young men that transition from being a football player to being retired, I think they go through a small amount of depression. I really do. And I
Yeah.
think the depression is kind of rooted in the idea of just not knowing exactly who you are. What's your identity without the ball,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, I was lucky enough that my younger brother was playing and he was a
Mhm.
really good player. So I was able to like you know, just still be in the game, still be on the sidelines. And that kind of led me to the whole sports agent world. But as far as like staying in tune with the sports now, I think being a sports agent helps me stay like in the game.
Hmm.
Like, for instance, I get to talk to athletes about the game that they're going to play this week. And I get to give them my small novice thoughts about this and that, the defense they're playing against, the coaching staff, the changes and whatnot. And by me doing that, it feels like I never really left the game.
Hmm.
I feel like
Yeah.
there's a fan that watches all the podcasts and things. I'm like a step closer to him. Like I'm like almost a player. So that keeps me feeling like I didn't, the game didn't leave me that much.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. One of the things, sort of along those lines, was that I heard you say something really interesting, which was that playing in the NFL actually came really easily to you, and maybe almost too easily, so that you didn't. I'm not sure if you didn't appreciate it as much as you might have, but that was sort of what you implied. And I wonder, looking back at that time, is there anything that you wish that you had done differently?
I mean, yeah, I'm not one of those people that say I don't have any regrets. I got a ton. You know what I'm saying? I think that I won't say the NFL came easily to me because it's
Hmm.
one of the hardest things out there. And obviously, if it would have came easily to me, I think I would have had a better and longer career.
Mm,
I will say football was natural for me.
yeah,
The amount of competition, the amount of aggression, and just, there's a certain level of confidence that good players have that I had as a young man. So
yeah.
those things came naturally to me. I think that if I could um, have the opportunity to do it over, I think I would just take a lot more things, less things for granted. You
Mm,
know, um, as a young man, you think that the lifestyle's always going to be there, the money's
right.
always going to be there,
Yeah.
the people that you may meet and come in contact with, whether it be the opposite sex or whatever. You think all these people are just always going to they're always going to surround you and orbit around you, right? But there comes a times when the game stops and you realize they were never orbiting around you; they were orbiting around the game.
Ooh, that
Okay,
must
and
hurt,
so
man. That must
yeah, it's a
hurt.
it's a it's a it's a thing that you have to realize. You lose friends that you realize were never really friends of yours, or
Yeah.
you have run-ins with family, or just different things. The people that you date, everything
Yeah.
kind of switches. There's a different switch that happens once you've crossed over to now you're no longer playing and now you're doing something different.
Mhm.
And it takes guys a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I would change a few things. I think that even when I was in college, like college for me was all fun, right? It's like we're gonna play, we're gonna party, and maybe not necessarily in those order, right? So I would love to go
Where's
back.
studying again? Where's
Well,
studying as the
well,
mother of
that's
college students?
no, that's what I was gonna say. Like I would rather go back and say, hey, since you're going to be here, you know what I mean, and it's being paid for, why not like maximize it? Why not get all the
Mm,
degrees and meet all the different professors and just build my network? But at the time, like I said, at school, it was all like play or party or a mixture of the two. And going
yeah.
back, I would look at it differently. Like, there's so many opportunities here. There's so much I could do if I applied myself, right?
Right.
So I think that's kind of what, not even really to segue, but that's literally what drives me in the NIL space
Hmm.
and dealing with younger athletes. It's like my whole career has brought me to this space where I'm able to help, navigate and steward young guys' careers away from the things that I ran into,
Right.
the things that were turbulent.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. You have a really unique perspective about a lot of things that I would imagine is
Sure,
super, super valuable for these kids and their families. I do want to talk a little bit about your brother because your brother
sure.
is LeSean McCoy.
Hmm.
Um, One of my favorite things I've ever watched are your YouTube videos, your real estate YouTube videos, the McCoy boys.
Okay. Man, that should have got picked up. We were trying to do like a reality TV show.
I
Okay,
don't understand why it didn't because it brought
you
me
never know
so
how this
much
thing
joy
goes.
stumbling upon these. I should say too that I have two boys. I have two boys and a girl, but
Okay,
my boys are good friends. Like it's clear that the two of you are. And so watching the two of you working together, joking together, and clearly complimenting each other, that it's you weren't fighting for the spotlight in these videos that I watched,
okay.
which was pretty impressive. So I wonder, he is a sports fan. If you don't know, LeSean McCoy had an incredibly successful career in the NFL. He's, I think, 6 years younger than you. Is that right?
Somewhere in there. Yeah, I
Somewhere
believe.
in there. He
Hmm.
played for 12 seasons. He was a six-time Pro Bowler, two-time Super Bowl champ. So I wonder, for you, how did you help guide him? Or did you feel like this drive to help guide him as he was going into the league?
I mean, yeah, I think if you ask him, he would have a different answer. Yeah, no, I think it would be more positive in terms of like my
Mm,
impact there. But for me, it's like if you generally love someone and you spend enough time with them, you recognize their greatness. It's hard for you to give yourself credit for the things that they do or the work they put in. But obviously, I mean, just being older and having a chance to go through the rigors first, there was
mhm,
always gonna be a chance for me to like say, hey, stay away from that or stay away from this.
yeah.
I think a lot of times in these conversations, people they ask me like, how did I help him? And I really feel
Mm,
like, it's more like how did he help me? You know what I'm saying? Like I think that he helped me more than anything. Like I said, when you get done playing this game, there's a moment where you have to find yourself. And with him, I was able to like latch on and still be on the sideline, still be in the locker rooms, and you don't miss that piece. And then when become being a sports agent, initially I literally started because I didn't want him to go through the same stuff that I went through, right?
mhm.
So that's a way he's helping me, and getting the job to do so was much easier if you have one of the best players in the NFL, like saying like, "Hey, I want him a part of my team."
Yeah, that holds
Um,
some weight.
yeah, and even in the real estate space, it's like the amount of things that we're able to purchase or do is a lot easier when you got a guy that's made the type of revenue he's made over his career, rather than in my career or starting, to find ways to make money and to build up your capital to go out there and buy homes and buy property and land. So yeah, I mean, I think it's much easier for me to talk about the ways that he's helped me
Hmm.
than the opposite. But also there's always gonna be like the brother stuff, the competitive stuff, and you know how that stuff goes.
You're right. Yeah, sure, sure.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about the real estate piece of it because you guys have done a lot of work and a lot of it, it's interesting because I think within the last maybe 5 or 10 years there's been sort of the spotlight on African Americans and real estate, right?
Sure.
So
Hmm.
there is I think that we've come to understand that sort of this implicit racism that exists in our society of course exists in this real estate space. So I wonder, what has your experience been there and how important was that part of it in the work that you do, right? It would be easy to just go in and be like, we're going to make a ton of money, but you guys
Right.
have been really intentional about a lot of the projects that you've taken on. And I was hoping you could talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think that it's funny you mention that because me and him have a different view of how we see real estate. And like,
Mm,
he's done his thing and he decides how he wants to maneuver in his space. And I do things differently on my own, right? And so when we don't even join the two, because
mm,
it's all about so real estate or any type of investing is all personal. It's like, what are you into? So for him, he's big into like affordable housing or multi-units because I think he operates there's a piece that is personal to him, but he also operates from a person that has a significant amount of money, right?
mm,
And so his thing is more about preserving wealth for the long term, right? I'm on the opposite coin where it's like for me, I'm always even the Asian business, like I'm an entrepreneur by nature. I am a seller. I am a
mm.
seller, right? So buy and hold where you build it up for 10 and 15 years and then you have it to me is like the worst. Sounds like so boring. I'm like, I can't do this. I want to build, I want to, fix it, flip it, I want to build new, and I want to sell it.
Yeah.
I would like to make a big bulk of cash and then I move on, right?
Uh-huh.
But that's I think that's a mindset of someone that is trying to attain the wealth. They're
Mm,
going and going after get it, whereas someone that has it, they're trying to maintain it and hold on to it, right?
right.
So there's just different ways of looking at of investing. I also think that one of the things that I learned in this space, as you talk about like the racism, but not even so much racism, but like stereotypes,
Yeah.
was that I remember, as we started moving in spaces where we were talking about developing, right? And so now you're sitting on city councils with mayors and lawmakers and municipalities and all that other stuff that's going on. You got those guys, then you got the bankers, right? And the bankers are talking about just the amount of interest and borrowing and loaning and all that. And then you got you, which myself. And so I think my first mistake that I made initially was I really wanted to be like those guys. Like I really wanted to
Mm,
like feel like I'm not inferior to sit in this room,
yeah.
right? And so what I learned in the process is like it's way more impressive that I'm me sitting here with y'all, You guys have
That's
been
a
in school
harder place to
forever.
get to, though. That's a harder place to get
Yeah.
to, especially if there's not somebody who you're looking to who you can emulate,
Hmm.
right? So if there's not representation, if there aren't other guys who
Right.
look like you in that room, who you're like, that's the guy I want to be, right?
Right.
Like, so I mean, it just makes it that much harder for you to do that. Like, how did you figure out who that guy would be?
I had a I had a speaking engagement at some place. And like I said, it's a room full of these type of people. They
Yeah.
graduated, guys go to Wharton and these different, business schools and all that. But then there's me, it's like I'm a former ball player and it's like I've been a sports agent and now I'm in this business and it's literally like 3 or 4 years old to me. How do I assimilate to these folks? And I had a speaking engagement with one of my good friends, my good friend Reggie Guy. I'm gonna give him some love. I spoke and he was like, after I was like, how'd I do? He's like, I mean, you sound like them. He's like, I didn't come here to watch like a watered down version of them. He was like, just be you. You know what I'm saying? Go up there and be like, nah, I'm a former football player, dude from this place, and I'm here in the same room with you guys. And we're all talking about the same project, which one is more impressive? And when I started thinking about it like that, I'm like, it is more impressive to stand in who you are. Like, this is my truth, this is who I am, and not feel intimidated by the other people's degrees on their wall. So that was
Yep.
kind of like what I learned, and just be like, nah, and it served me, that thought process has served me in all types of, even the agent world or whatnot. It's like, I'm not the typical agent because I've done things that they haven't done.
Hmm.
I didn't get a law degree first and then get into this business. Like, nah, I took hits over the middle. I ran slant routes to get here. And my thought process is like I look at it differently than they do. And I think some kids it's going to resonate with, and those are going to
Hmm.
be your clients. And then some it won't, and that's fine too.
So let's talk about NIL because in 2021, the Supreme Court decides that the NCAA's compensation limits violated antitrust laws. So
Hmm.
this paved the way for college athletes to start making money based on their own name, image, and likeness. So
Right.
a lot has happened in the last 4 years. I mean, it went from, being able to get paid to go down to like your local restaurant for an appearance to now these kids are making, some of them are making millions, literally millions of dollars. So tell me, where are we now with
Okay.
NIL? Like,
Great. I'm glad you asked.
what does that look like?
All right. So when it started in 2021, when you were able to be paid for your name, image, and likeness, that to me it was groundbreaking. And I give the people that did that legislation a lot of credit. But to me, sitting where I was sitting at the time, it was not, it was like, okay, what does that mean? Right. And it was very unimpressive at the time to me personally. To get all those hundreds of years like thrown away to do something different is impressive. But to me personally, I was like, okay, what is this? Because I'm not a marketer. And that's what that was. It was about you
No.
taking your name, your image, and your likeness to a business and saying, hey, I would like to promote this business, this brand. I would like to be ambassador, and you will pay me X. So as an agent, that's kind of how the NIL space first started.
Right.
But as you know, these schools are aggressive in terms of winning. They built what's called collectives. So collectives are a group of alumni from each individual school, and they started going out raising money. Now they're raising money like, they might do it like a Netflix subscription is the best way I kind of explain it. So it's like you have each guy, you pay $10 a month, right? You pay $10 a month for the year. So it's 120 bucks. It's not a lot of money. Okay. However, there's 100,000 alumni that have went to the school, and all those people pay that money. They then take that big amount, and
Uh-huh.
now that's how they were paying their guys for different tasks. So even then, I was like, okay, this is getting a little better. Here's where I got excited. I got excited this past June, I believe, either June or July, where the NCAA lost the bid. They're back and forth in court to where now schools had to do a revenue share with the players, meaning that the schools now had the ability to pay players directly from the amount of revenue that they were making. They were sharing a percentage of, ticket sales and TV rights and merchandise, etc. Right?
Right.
So each
Right.
school in the Power Four, which is the Big Four conferences, has around 20.5 million dollars to split
Uh-huh.
amongst all their sports. Now, when you talk about a school that is heavy in basketball on one side, or you have a school that's heavy in football, the school is going to take the lion's share of that money. Okay. So it's part of my job to figure out at each individual school, what's that number. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also
Mm-hmm.
still have those collectives out there. The collectives are raising money and splitting amongst their sports as well. They will donate to the first part of money. Now we're talking about one big pie. That's the salary cap. So each team goes into the year knowing this is how much money I have to spend to put a roster out there that will be competitive on basketball or football or other sports as well. But those are the two primary: women's basketball, women's softball. There's a couple others, but those are the main ones that
Seems like
generate all the
volleyball's
money.
getting a little bit of love now too.
They're all starting to
Yeah.
because it's all competitive,
Yeah.
right? And the more that you win, the bigger your television rights and the bigger your fan base. We've even seen that there's a direct effect on the more enrollment you'll have. There was a study done about the University
Yeah.
of Alabama and how their enrollment blossomed during the Nick Saban glory years, right? So as the more students come in, they probably raise tuition. I'm sure, they did.
Yep. Oh, of
And
course. Of
so
course.
they make more money. And so then it looks like, hey, if that's the case, like any other business, how can we keep promoting ourselves, marketing ourselves in the free world, which is sports? And so that's kind of where we're at today.
What pitfalls do you see with it right now?
Okay, cool. That's a good question. So for me, because I have a real estate background, right? I look at it like sometimes, okay, sometimes you'll have like the Great Depression or whatever, not even depression, sometimes you'll have a recession, okay? And the housing market is like so low. Everybody's just buying, buying, buying. Then at some point, the market has to correct itself.
Hmm.
And what they will do, it will overcorrect. And like interest rates will shoot through the roof or they'll drop tremendously low. And the reason for that is now the economy and the market is trying to become more stable. So it has to swing in an opposite direction to get it right. Okay.
Right.
That's exactly what we're going through right now. We're going through
Mhm.
that in the sports world because for years, like hundreds of years, literally, universities made a lot of money off of free labor. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
as guys are getting $0 to play these games, they're getting these big contracts from the television rights and the conferences, and they're just getting so much money that they aren't sharing with the players. So then now that they have to, they're just overpaying. I'm seeing deals and things, and I'm just like, this player is not worth this amount.
Mhm.
Just because, and I say that because there's no way that you should play a collegiate sport and make less money than you would in a pro sport. So if you're at school and you're making $700,000 a year, you graduate, you get drafted in the seventh round, and your salary now has dropped to like 650. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the
So
pro
so there's
level
no
should
way
always
that
be
you should be
higher.
making you
Yes.
shouldn't be making more in the collegiate sport than you are in on
hmm
the pro level. Right. Right.
Exactly. And some
Yeah.
coaches have come up and talked about. I've seen the new coach of Ole Miss was talking about, the back in the days it was like guys wanted to work hard to get that, to get the bag, to get the money. But nowadays they already have it. So it's kind of like they have to find a different motivation to, they pull up into their facility in a nice car, in a luxury car. They have $100,000 in their bank account. They live in a nice house somewhere on campus or off campus. So
So
how do you
weird, isn't it?
motivate
It's
that
so
young man?
weird.
I'll tell you the weirdest part is sitting talking to a young man and we're going over numbers and they might say something. They let something slip like, "Oh, it's only like 70,000. I ain't really tripping. I'm only tripping on 100 grand." I'm like, "Nah, we need to trip on 100 grand. We need to trip a
Right?
lot. Let's talk
Yeah.
about it." So I think that but they're so young. They're 18, 19 years old. So the value of money hasn't really hit yet. And then everything is free in their life. All
Yeah.
right. If you think about
Yeah.
kids that are in your house, everything's free,
Yeah.
food's free, everything. They got to pay for small things.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they graduate and they go, when graduate high school, go to college, everything's still free.
Yeah.
The place I live at, the dorm or the apartment is taken care of. I might have a car deal or whatever. Everything is
Yeah.
free.
No expenses.
So having like 200 or 300 or however many $100,000 you have in your account doesn't really feel the same way that it's going to feel in the real world when there are now expenses taking it. Right now, it's just taxes, and then like a phone bill. That's what they
Hmm.
have. My biggest bill for my guys is DoorDash. The
I was
DoorDash,
gonna ask, like, what do these guys spend their money on? DoorDash, of course.
DoorDash goes crazy. Like DoorDash goes crazy. We should buy stock in the DoorDash.
There's a pro tip. Like, if you want to make money in a college town with like a Power 4, like become a
Yo,
DoorDasher.
super. You meet everybody. You work the right hours and figure the peak stuff out, and you'll make a lot of money. These kids
That's
love, I think, clothes and DoorDash.
That's funny, isn't it? Like thinking about this is a total sidebar, but thinking about economy and thinking about like the unintended consequences of or, benefits of things like
Sure.
this. Like, I mean, like you were talking about enrollment at these schools that have success, they have a real vested interest in having a really good football team because more kids sign up, more, there's more attention, more
Donors.
kids come to the
Absolutely.
donors. Yeah, everybody loves a winner, right? Who's donating to like a terrible football team?
You're
Like
right.
it's
Yeah.
just right? But then to think about things like all of those peripheral businesses that benefit from these 18, 19-year-old
Mhm.
kids, having money, like what they
Yeah,
spend
for
money
sure.
on, all of these, clothes businesses or online businesses. That's
There's
really
so much.
wild.
The
Yeah,
another thing I think is crazy is just because you mentioned about donors, there are donors that won't donate to their program. They like, no, I'm okay. They're doing well, whatever. They don't need my money. The
right.
moment when they have a coach that they want fired, they donate. They donate the money to get him gone.
What?
That's crazy.
What?
So you'll see a
That's
spike.
so
You'll see
weird.
a spike in donations around the time when a guy is like underperforming, but he has like a large buyout. His buyout to complete his contract maybe $5 million.
Oh,
They'll start
so they're
donating.
donating to the buyout of
They
these
they
coaches?
they can, yes. They'll start because they start wanting the school to have more money. Don't donors are always behind the scenes
Weird.
getting a coach removed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as we see lately, there's been a lot of coach firings. There was some craziness going on at Michigan.
Yeah,
I
to say the
am
least.
1000% sure that I don't want to be too controversial. If that coach had the right friend in the donor building, he could have had a little more leeway. Because
It
I'm
wouldn't have
not.
gone down like it did. I mean,
Yeah,
he
I'm
he
just
really crossed some lines, though. I mean, like that
no. Of
when the
course,
police get involved, it seems
be,
like the
even before that, the morality
yeah.
clause, right? But my
Oh,
point
yeah.
in mentioning that is that he wouldn't be the first coach that I know that the donors have found out have done something that they deem immoral. The
Right.
difference is in his building, he wasn't as revered. And so it's like when it happens, it's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's go get him
Yeah.
out of here. Now we don't have to
They
pay
were
him a
looking for something.
dime. Perfect. Right. But if he
Yeah.
was a winner
Yeah.
that people love, they find a way to say, okay, let's
His
suspend them for a few games. Let's do this. Like they do stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. No,
That's
the surprising thing to me about his case and that is that he had such a good record, right? I mean, like that he had a winning record and like they were doing well as a team, right?
yes, but he was the job for him. He wasn't okay. So the powers that be in that space didn't go find him.
When
He was given to them
right
by
when
the
Harbaugh
last
left.
coach who they
Yeah,
loved,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we love this guy, and the last guy says, "Hey, you have to take him. That's part of my contract." So you're like,
Mm,
okay. Then you get him, and you're like, he's not really our guy. We kind of got him from our last guy. We want to pick our guy. You know what I mean? We want to dictate
oh,
our guy so that he
interesting.
knows
Sure.
our interests and what we want, and we know his. Not
Mm-hmm.
we're learning on the fly.
Right. Right.
So I think that that's a big deal. I heard that he didn't have a lot of friends in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's kind of like I look at like college coaching. I know we're going off on this, but it's like a kingdom to me, right? I'm a big Game of Thrones guy, so humor me, right? So it's like in the kingdom, you'll have all these people that follow around the king. They whatever the king says they want to do. But there's always
Mm-hmm.
like a small sector inside the kingdom, and sometimes they're powerful people that can't wait for him to slip up or see weakness to take him out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, he gave them exactly what they wanted by breaking the rules,
Right.
right? When you
Right.
break the rules, you give people the opportunity to fire you the way they did. And it was
Yeah,
deserving.
and I should say out loud, so sports fam, if you don't know this story, you can look it up.
Sure.
But he had an affair with a staffer. He was married and had an affair with a staffer, and they found out
hmm
about it. And was it after he was fired that then he
I think
was
after he went to her
the
house
timeline?
and broke in
Yeah,
and wanted to confront her and all that stuff is just anger. And I'm glad that I guess his wife was able to track him down so that the cops could get him and to keep everyone safe. It sounded
yeah,
like himself. The
yeah.
person that he was going to harm was most likely going to be himself.
Right, right,
So I'm glad that it at least worked out where everyone's safe. And
right.
we all have dark days, and I try not to judge people too much, but I just I pray for everybody in that whole scenario,
Yeah,
to all the
same.
people involved, the young guys that are on the team.
Yeah,
It's a lot to go through.
it is a lot to go through. Hey, sports fam, Sasha here. That concludes the first half of my interview with LeRon McCoy. The second half of this interview will drop tomorrow on the regular feed, so make sure that you come back and listen to that second half. In the meantime, you can find LeRon on Instagram at legacy.nil and online at legacynil.com. I will see you tomorrow for the second half of this interview with LeRon McCoy. Hey, sports fam, Sasha here. I am just jumping on to let you know that this is the second half of my LeRon McCoy interview. So if you've not listened to the first half of the interview, you're going to want to do that first. So in the regular feed, just go back, find episode 1 of this interview, and we dropped it just yesterday, so it'll be easy to find, and then come back here and listen to the second half. Enjoy. So let's go back to NIL a little bit because,
Sure.
one of the things that I think that lots of us have seen more of with sports agents is that, yeah, you have to have these really good negotiation skills and you have to have sort of these hard skills when it comes to understanding the landscape of NIL. But it seems to me that you would also have to have all sorts of soft skills, especially when it comes to working with these high school students, who
Right.
are going to college and their families. So you need to be like an excellent communicator, and you have to be sort of a therapist, I would imagine. You have to be all of these other things that we wouldn't necessarily go to school for. It seems like you are really good at this, that you've done a lot of these deals. How is it that you learned these soft skills that go along, or am I off base here? Like, are those not as
Um,
important as I'm thinking?
yeah, I think those are important just as being like human, right?
Yeah,
Wanting
well,
to be
yeah.
well-rounded to learn how to talk to different. I think with being an athlete helps me adjust to different people who have different motivations and different backgrounds, but we all have the same goal, right? So we have to put all that aside. I think that, just kind of like my background and being from the city, but then playing high school football in the in the Catholic school, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think it was my first time. I always tell people like it was my first time like interacting with other races. Like,
Mm.
from going to all black schools my whole life to like now I have like teammates that are white and like, okay, they culturally they're different than we're different. How do we interact? How do we learn about each other? And you build friendships and you learn how to like, what I'm saying, to work and
Yeah.
communicate. That's the one thing with sports is great because we all have the same goal, but we're different. So it's like, how do I learn about you? You learn about me. Cool. Now let's move on and let's kind of and so in this space, I've learned that the young people just want information, right? I call myself a data dealer. They tell me my friends like that. Like, it's all information. They just want
Mm-hmm.
info. And so as you can give a young guy info about how to increase his recruiting, that whole thing, or how to maximize a contract that he may have, how to leverage one that he has with another place, right?
Through the
And
portal, you
just
mean?
yeah, just being well bad, or even just in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just being super transparent and kind of laying out my plan, and we go over it in checklists. I think that kind of helps. But again, I think my background in sports and working and communicating with different people from all walks of different life and religions has helped me, one, just be a better overall friend to people. But then on another side, it's helped me like in business, like I'm just aware of different things that happen in a guy's tenure and like how to, talk to him about that based on who he is and what he finds important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess soft skills will be. I just think patience maybe. Patience is
Yeah.
kind of like has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
The fact that I've lost clients helps me so much, right?
Really? How has that helped you?
Oh my God. Um, I've recruited players that were so good, that were like top 5 picks. And then when you recruit in the NFL, you recruit for like a year and change, right? So I may see this kid as a sophomore in the middle of the season and start recruiting him from that time all the way to the end of his junior year when he declares for the draft.
Uh-huh.
And I've met the family, I've sat with them, I've been to tailgating with mom and dad. I'm congratulating them on the daughter doing something in her life, the whole deal, right? Me and the player, I've learned to, I'll give you a tip. I learned that the number one way I can get a player to talk to me for an hour on the phone is by playing video games with them.
I was gonna say,
Uh,
pull up
You,
Fortnite.
you get that video thing and they talk and they don't even realize that they've been talking to you for an hour. And you're like, yeah, this game is good. So what do you think about the next 3 years? It's like my little secret. But
Hmm.
all that being said,
I
right?
won't tell anyone.
When you lose a dude, like he says, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go with something. It's like I lost a family member. I've
Yeah,
been here recruit.
heartbreaking.
Yo, it's terrible. It's
Oh,
terrible. But as the years go by, you get used to it. You're like, hey. And then in my mind, I'm like, so when I lose a kid now, it's like, all right, I've lost. No offense to him, I've lost a better player before. I've lost guys that are still playing in the NFL right now that I recruited 10 years ago. Dudes have been making money forever, just great players. And so you just live with it. And you just wish them the best. You let them know that, hey, like, I think you're going to be successful. Just keep doing everything you've been doing so far. I'm not going to, like, I'm not the missing piece. I'm just a part of the puzzle, the overall puzzle. So, yeah, that's kind of how I get over it. But at first, when I first
oh,
got into the business as a young dude, and we're hanging out all the time, and I'm calling, and we're spending all this time, and you go with another person, then you would be like sitting at like you'll go to like the draft with your guy that you did get, and then you
yeah.
look over in the room and you see him with his other agent. You're like,
It's like a romantic comedy where you're
oh, it's
looking
the worst.
sidelong and the music starts to play.
Hmm. You start hating the other agent. Like, look at those terrible shoes he has. You can't believe you went with that dude. That dude sucks. So. But it's just business. It's just business at the end of the day.
Well, it is business, but it's also so personal, that
Yeah, for
most
sure.
of the time, if you're somebody who's real estate agent, you're not going to the tailgate with mom, right? You don't
Yeah.
know what's going on
Hmm.
with the sister, right? So like my heart hurts, like just thinking
Yeah.
about you investing all of this time and energy, but also I can tell that you're just a really caring person. So like the idea
Yeah.
that,
Thank you.
you know, the idea that you would like lose somebody who you've invested all this time and energy and like your heart into,
Yeah.
like that
It's
hurts my
rough.
heart
And
a
then like
little
when
bit.
you're doing a recruiting path, you seldom turn things down. Okay.
Mm, of
So meaning
course.
like if they call you and say, hey, there's something, would you like to come? You're like, yeah, even though
Yeah.
you really don't want to do it. And so I remember there was a famous running back. If I give his school away, people will know, but he was a great running back and he played for one of the
Okay.
best franchises. He was a big NFL pick. I remember I went to his house and we are talking to him and his father about the whatever. We had a great hour conversation. Then we go outside. He's got this big giant wolf dog, like gigantic. And he was like, "Oh, he doesn't bite. You want to play with him?" I was like, "Hell no, I don't want to play with your dog." Like, nah. But in my mind, I'm like, gotta be a dog lover. You know what I'm saying?
This might be the difference maker.
So I jumped in there with that gigantic wolf he had. You know what I'm saying? So letting this dog knock me all around, we still didn't sign him.
Oh
So,
God, that's so funny,
but
Ron.
I'm just saying, when you get to those moments, you gotta like, hey, can't have pride. You can have integrity, but pride, I think, hurts people in business, especially this one.
Mm. What do you think the biggest mistake is that these kids or their families make during the process? Like when they're still in high school and they're
Okay, that's a
what
good
do you
one.
what do you what do you think that they mess up?
Okay, so if we're talking about high level kids who are going to be, going to these big universities, they're going to make
Mhm.
six figures. And then when I say six figures, they're going to make a nice amount, like not just 100 grand. They're going to make up to four, five, seven, whatever.
Jeez,
All right, it's nuts, but
that's
it's
nuts.
they deserve it. So I think the number one thing that they make, the biggest mistake that I see is guys look to validate themselves through who they are aligned with, right? So there may be a big agency that represents these gigantic NFL quarterbacks, and you're like, hey, I want to align myself with the people
Mm,
that work with that guy. And
right.
when I tell them, I was like, that's cool, but you do have to realize where you sit in the pecking order of things, right? And so when you call, because of whatever it may be, if so and so gigantic quarterback's calling, we're gonna get to you when we can get to you. There's only
Mhm.
24 hours in a day. So I
Right.
tell them like don't make the mistake of trying to get with a place because of the validation part. Go where you feel comfortable at. Go who's established and whatnot, but also where you feel comfortable. The same goes for when I'm talking to guys, and this is big. I should have mentioned this one first. When we're talking about universities for players, the first thing is like for a lot of young men, not all, is like, well, how much they talking? And I'm like, well, let me slow you down. If we go to certain places because of the dollar amount and we don't look at all the factors, we're going to be right back in the same position next year. We're going to get
Mm,
the money for 1 year, and then we're going to look and say, okay, that coach got fired, or that system didn't fit my ability, and now they don't play me, or I don't like how I feel, etc. That coach lied to me and said I was going to do this, and we didn't. And so if you chase the dollar instead of chasing the fit, you'll be unhappy. What I tell my guys is like, find the fit of where you love being, where you love having your feet at. I'll make the money work, right? And if it doesn't, then I'll tell them listen, this is the best that they can do. I got as much as I could from them. This is their number. If you want to go somewhere else, I understand, but don't just jump and say, oh, this they're going to give me $1 million. I never had $1 million. I got to go get this $1 million. It's like, yes, but what does it come with? We call that, or in my team, we call it, don't shortcut the grind, right? The grind is to
mhm.
get to $1 million or more or whatever. Don't shortcut it trying to get there fast, and
Yeah,
now you'll never get another chance to get it again,
yeah.
right? You want to go somewhere that helps you continuously make that money, continuously put you in the limelight. And so,
I would think that you would get a lot of pushback on that. That if somebody is looking at deals like it, because it's so much easier to find like your place based on how much money somebody's offering you, right? And like I say
right,
this from a place of like I've got one kiddo in college now and I have a senior in high school now, and so he's not playing sports in college, but he's looking at all of these acceptances and figuring out where he's going to go, and
mhm,
it's very hard even for him to not look at how much money they're offering him. He's getting these merit
right,
scholarships and like because that's easy. Like that is black and white of and
sure,
finding a fit somewhere like that's so much harder. That just
mhm,
takes more time and more energy, and it also takes more knowing yourself, which let's face it, when we're 18 years old, like it's hard to know who you are
right.
and where you're going to fit. And this is your first time. Like you don't know anything when you're 18, right?
Mhm. I'll tell them this: money is used to eliminate the absence of chemistry, right?
Mm,
Okay,
mhm.
so because you don't necessarily have chemistry with a person or with an entity, I'll erase that feeling of uneasiness by just giving you a bunch of money. So
Mm.
don't worry about how we don't really connect. We don't have anything going on. This sounds like relationships. All right,
It
don't
totally
I'll
does.
just give you some money and we'll just pretend that we're great. And
Yeah.
so I kind of tell my guys that is like, and again, it's not like I'm telling you to go from nothing, from apples to oranges. I'm just going to get the best deal possible for the place you really want to be at.
Yeah.
You really want to be this place. I can help leverage one place versus another to get you what you want, right? But the dollar amount may not be the same, and you have to be willing to know that just because you walk away from certain money today does not mean that we're walking away from the money, right?
Right.
We're just walking away from it in the short term. A lot of times when we talk about fit, it's like workplace can help you maximize your earning potential. 1 year is not your earning potential, right? So which place can develop you for the next level? Which place has the leadership and foundation, the structure set up for you to be successful? Or is it a coach that has 1 year? If he doesn't perform well, he might get fired. He's going to throw you a bunch of money to save his job.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't happen, you got a new guy that comes in and looks at your number and says, I'm definitely not paying that. Right. So you have to
God,
look at these factors.
how in the world do you keep track of all of these programs? Because you have, like you said, you have to be the data dealer, right? Like, how do
Yeah.
you know all of this about all of these programs and about what's going on? Like, do you just spend all of your extra time like researching these programs and following these programs?
You know what? There are sometimes certain people are like, all you do is watch football. And I'm working. Like, don't bother me. I'm working right now. No, I think that it's just a lot of reading. I have a team. It's not just myself. My business partner Ishmael, he's great at it. We're constantly sharing information back and forth. Our support staff, they're always throwing articles if this kid has been offered by the school that plays the same position as my kid, like knowing things. So, and then also, I think just for your viewers, one of the things that helps me stay successful, and I kind of learned this from my former boss, is it's all about routines. If
Mm,
you can do things in a routine manner, you the risk of you forgetting something is less likely because it's natural to you,
yeah,
and you just have checklists and like you do it over and over. Things don't fall through the cracks. So that's
yeah,
kind of is like, I check in with my parents of my kids on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and that's kind of like my day for them. The young men I'll talk to throughout the week based upon what game they have, what their schedule's like. But every single person I try to make sure once or twice a week we talk to. When you're in
yeah,
contract time, obviously conversations are going to be a lot more fluid.
yeah.
Are we in the portal? Are we staying? Are we going? Where's the numbers at? That type of deal.
What a job. There was something that I wanted to ask you about because one of the things, so I used to work for Disney, and one of the things
Okay.
that I noticed when I was working on these movies was that these child stars, the power dynamic would end up getting shifted with them and their
Immediately.
parents, right? That once they were the ones making money, that their parents were just saying yes to everything, and it
Yes.
made me uncomfy, right? Like it was
hmm
watching this was, and I wonder if you see the same thing with your athletes once they're making this money.
The moment the money hits, it
Yeah.
changes. It's like
Yeah.
instant. It doesn't take a long time. It's like the dads, and it's always for me. I talk more about the dads because I'm a dad, and I just realize it. The dads become yes men, right?
Yeah.
And so some of my
Yeah.
favorite dads that I've represented are the guys that stand up to their sons and tell them like, absolutely not, you're not doing that. I had a defensive end that was a player. He played for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a defensive end, and he wanted to, after his rookie year, he wanted to spend his off season in Miami to train, right? And his
Uh-huh.
dad was like, this is the first time you ever had some real money in your pocket. You want to come to Miami not because you want to train. You want to come around here and be in Miami,
Uh-huh.
And so the dad said,
Uh-huh.
no. He said, you got to stay in Cincinnati. Now, I don't want to talk bad about the city of Cincinnati. It's just not Miami for a young
It's not
guy
Miami.
with a lot of money. But, he ended up going on to have a great Pro Bowl career and whatnot. And so when he got his second deal, which is the large one, which is the one with all the millions and whatnot, his dad said, all right, you can go trade in Miami. You can go buy your house, do all the stuff you want to do. And I never forget thinking like that is an excellent dad. Like that's a
Yeah.
real, because at the age of 21, 22, we still need all the advice we could get.
Right.
I still
Right.
need advice. My mom and dad give it to me, whether I ask for it or not. So
Well, also, I mean, I think that, our kids crave that structure, right? They
sure.
want somebody to push back on them even when they don't act like it. That they
Yeah.
they need somebody to be given, we call it in our house, we call it wide roads and high fences, that give our kids lots of leeway to figure things out, but like make sure that we have these fences on the side so that
I
when they
like
get
that.
there, they're like, yeah, I mean, it's a nice visual to think about, we're here for you and we're taking care of you. So I think that for you as these kids' agent, I would imagine is a tricky but really, really important conversation.
Yeah. I try to well, first, like when I meet a young man, I try to figure out who's his who does he lean on? Who's his support system?
Mm-hmm.
And I never like to leave any parent out of the equation of what's happening. I'll tell you what's tricky. This is funny. What's tricky is when I meet a kid that's like a superstar, right? Great.
Uh-huh.
That part's
Uh-huh.
cool. So I meet him and I tell him like, hey, I want to meet with your parents. He says okay. And then through some communication or some, I find out that the parents hate each other. And
Oh.
so there will be no meeting mom and dad. It will be you meet mom, we have one, and then we have another with dad. And so it's kind of funny. I've been in this multiple times where I'm like, I just had this meeting, and the kid is sitting there like, I just heard this. I heard it 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? And I got the same like cells and punchlines and old stories that I throw in. The kid is like, I know the ending of this. So that part's funny. Or then when I update them, I'll call mom and I'll tell mom like, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're looking for." And I hang up. Then I call dad and say, "Hey,
And
this is
then,
what we're doing." That's funny. But
I mean, I'm glad that you find it funny because it sounds exhausting.
no, it's just more funny than anything.
Yeah.
Every once in a while they'll talk trash about the other parent. They're like, was he there? Of course he wasn't. He never shows up. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. These soft skills, right? Like here you are like acting as a mediator between these parents who hate each other, all
No,
for the benefit of their kid,
I
right?
just I don't get in the middle of that. That's not my thing. I
I
don't
mean,
mess around
I
with that.
maybe mediator is maybe the wrong word, but like acting as sort of a therapist to these
Yeah.
parents or these kids, you
Well,
know?
sure. I just know that it's like it's a thing. So you want to make sure that you got it all. Everybody's being tended to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
very kind of you. Well, you have been so generous with your time, and I want to make sure that we get to this part of I love to ask my guests for their game changer tip. You know, something you have learned over the years that our listeners can take with them out into the world on living their life just a little bit better. What have you got for us? Yeah, I can hear you.
This is what happens when you come home for the holidays and you just,
What's going on there?
just parents. Parents just
Have them come in and say hi.
no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. Nah. That's my dad. We call him OG Ron. He's I just wanted to say that like on camera. OG Ron. He just needs help. All right.
Well, when OG Ron is out in Arizona to play softball, I want to know. I want to go cheer him on.
December 22nd, he's going and he'll be there until the 1st or the 2nd of January. And I'm positive he will find a game.
I I am going to hold you to this. I honestly, I will go and cheer for him at his game. I really want to go watch him. Will you send me when you know?
That's obnoxious. Yeah. 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 I just can't even tell you how crazy he gets with it. I'm
Oh God,
serious.
I
The
can't
amount
wait.
of money that he spends on like the all the tools to help him be a better player is just like. But what I will say is he's healthy, like super.
Yeah,
He's active.
yeah.
He running around. He's jumping, catching. So I'm like, if this is my trade off for him to stay super healthy, him just being a Derek Jeter nut, then go ahead. You know.
It's so much better than so many things he could be.
Nah, I'm listen. That's cool. I'm used to it. It's just the worst part is like I don't want to relive your highlights when you come home. Like that part is whack. Like um, like I don't want you to tell me about the inning and what happened and two strikes and I was thinking about bunting, but instead I'm just like come on, man. Like what are we talking about right now?
You are freaking killing me. I love this so very, very much to think about you as his kid getting tired of hearing about his highlights. This is, and especially
It's me and my brother. We both be like, we just look at each other like this guy.
so you don't feel like he banked any goodwill all of those games that he sat and cheered for you too?
No, no, not at all. And then I'll take it a step further. Is he's like he's one of those fans that forgets that he's like the dad of a player. And so he would go to the games and just like trash teammates or the other team. And I used to be like, yo, when you were that part of the NFL group, the families all kind of sit by each other, like alphabetical order. And he's like, oh, he's trash, take him out. He sucks. I'm just like, dude, that's his mom is over there. Like, what are you doing?
Oh God.
OG
Oh,
Ron.
OG Ron. OG
Yeah, for
Ron.
sure.
Oh,
You know
that's the
what? Do you
best.
know how when you do those podcasts and they mention somebody's name and they have like a picture? I'm gonna send you a picture. So he
Please
said,
do. Please do.
I want him to pop up. The Legend of OG Ron. I'm
I
telling you.
promise you I will add it.
All right, cool. He's got
That's,
some stuff going on with him. It's crazy.
oh, and I mean,
My mom pays him zero mind, like zero. Like
it's
she don't
that's the key. That's the key right there,
she
right?
does now she does go to like so he travels for the game, so she will go and then like immediately when they land, like her vacation time starts and whatever he's doing is up to him.
He does his
Like,
thing, she does
she
hers.
shop. Yeah, like it's a crazy, crazy relationship. They've been together since they were kids, so it's been
They
working.
they've got it figured out. Yeah.
It's all you can hope for.
Sometimes I mean that's it. That's it. So tell me, what's your game changer tip? What have you got for us today?
Okay, so I think that my game changer tip, what I would go through is one we talked about earlier, just be yourself. and be comfortable being yourself. But another one that I have in business that I learned from all the people that were really good, my former boss, Drew Rosenhaus, one of his key things was he mastered follow up, right?
Mm.
Most times when we meet someone like you and you have this great conversation and you say, oh, I'm going to call her on Tuesday, it's now like Thursday, and you're like, oh, it's too late. I don't know. And then you never follow back up. So
Mm-hmm.
my thing is when I make a decision when I meet someone and I tell them I'm going to do something, I'm going to send you this email or I'm going to reach back out. I'm very big on following up. That's the
Mm-hmm.
number one way I think to not only it says something about you that you're thinking of them and thought of them and that interaction resonated, but also that you're a man of your word. And if you
Mm-hmm.
can do something small like I'm gonna call you on Tuesday and you call Tuesday or you send that email, the bigger things down the line, I think that they'll say like, oh, he should be able to do this too. So that's my game changer, just to make sure you're big on follow up and be yourself.
Yep. Yep. And follow through on your word. It's funny how those little things add up, right? That
For
we might
sure.
not even notice them at the time, but like if we reflect later, we're like, yeah, anytime he says he's going to do something, he does it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Thank
Hmm.
you so much for coming on the show today. This has been really, truly so much fun.
Sasha, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to send you highlights of OG Ron.
Do it by Thursday, man. Do it by
I got
Thursday. I'll
you.
count on
Listen,
it.
I'm gonna get on it right now. I'm gonna get on it right now.
Sports
So
fam, you can find LeRon's company, Legacy NIL, on Instagram at legacy.nil and online at www.legacynil.com. As for us, of course, we are on all of the socials at Sports Will Save Us All. And we are now on Patreon, where you can get
sweet.
every single episode ad-free for just
Mhm.
$5 a month. We would love to have you join us there. It's super fun. We're always putting extra goodies in there for you. I'm anticipating a lot of OG Ron in there for our listeners after this episode. All right, my friends, thank you for listening. That is it for me today. We'll be back next week with more stories